Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Rabbi James Kahn, who is the National Outreach Director for Holistic Industries, which is the parent company of Cannaceutica. Well, Rabbi Kahn, thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, we actually had spoken with Sherry Horn regarding Cannaceutica, which was our first introduction to Cannaceutica. So I'm really excited to learn more about sort of how it all came about between Cannaceutica, and holistic industries. So tell me a little bit about how that came about.
Well, Holistic Industries is we operate in multiple states. We are actually one of the largest privately held cannabis companies in the country. So we have a real sense of patients, the patients that are coming to use cannabis, their needs, the physicians that are recommending it, their concerns, and Cannaceutica really came about as a way to respond to a lot of the challenges that we saw in the industry. For example, a lot of physicians, are really looking for evidence. They don't want there's so much anecdotal evidence. I mean, cannabis has been around for 5,000 years, but they're looking for, review board approved, Western, typical kind of Western research and IRB approved studies. And so that's what we wanted to give them. We wanted to partner with an extremely reputable university and to conduct a study that would really prove what we know to be true, which is that cannabis is incredibly effective for treating pain.
Exactly. And I think all of those things that you mentioned is why many seniors were reluctant in the first place, right? It's like, oh no, it was against the law, so we can't do that at all. But now look at so many benefits, and now the fact that you can provide some sort of proof is really quite advantageous.
Yeah, I mean, look, nobody wants to break the rules, so it's been a real in my own lifetime, it feels like miraculous that we've seen cannabis legalized in so many states. The majority of the country now lives in states where medical cannabis, they have access to medical cannabis, to legal, regulated, lab tested, high quality medical grade cannabis products. And
Right.
it's phenomenal.
Well, and the fact that seniors is one of the fastest growing demographics. We're supposed to have so many more people over the age of 65 over the next 10 to 20 years. And, we're all going to have pain no matter what. And this is a great way to alleviate pain because we have a opioid addiction going on.
We do. It's an epidemic, really.
Yeah, it's crazy how, there's been a lot of pharmaceuticals that pharmacy companies are out there saying, oh, you can take this and you can take that. But then when I hear all the side effects, it's like, well, wait a minute, why would I want to take that if it has so many side effects? But then I don't believe that I'm aware of anything that cannabis is really providing any side effects, does it?
Well, cannabis certainly does have side effects, but most importantly, none of those side effects are toxic. There's no toxic dose of cannabis that you could consume. With regard to Cannaceutica, this product that we're developing, you could consume multiple bottles and without any real harm at all. And you could consume all the Cannaceutica that we have ever produced, and you would not die. You wouldn't feel good. I wouldn't recommend it. There's not a toxic dose, and there's toxic doses to everything, to aspirin, to almost every medication you get over the counter. There's a toxicity at a certain dose, and cannabis just isn't that way. When you take cannabis, you might feel dry mouth. You could feel what is typically called the munchies, which really just means an appetite stimulation. Some people who take too high of a dose of cannabis, especially if they eat cannabis, or they may feel uncomfortable or nervous. But really, that's a dosage issue. And it's not really an issue with cannabis itself.
Okay.
Just about educating our consumers.
Well, exactly. And that's what I think a lot of folks are trying to figure out right now. And we'll get into a little bit of that in just a second. But before we do that, if people are interested in using cannabis, what are some of the ways that they could actually use it right now?
So cannabis can be consumed in a bunch of different ways. The most the typical way people are familiar with is smoking, but smoking or vaping cannabis. But really, that is just the tip of the iceberg. And even when people do, when I say vaping cannabis, what I mean is that the chemicals, cannabis is like a fruit salad of chemicals. And a lot of those chemicals have medical value, over 100 that we've identified, what we call cannabinoids. And so you can actually heat cannabis to a certain temperature that releases those cannabinoids into like a mist or a vapor without actually consuming, without actually combusting the cannabis. So there's no ash or resin that's going into your lungs. It's just a vapor. That's one way. But there's also topicals, which are creams or transdermal patches that people will use that you can purchase at dispensaries all around the country. And then there's also capsules. Capsules can be taken orally. There are, in some cases, some states have access to suppositories. But for us, Cannaceutica, we really looked at capsule as the ultimate form for cannabis consumption because it's a form factor that people are familiar with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And, the capsules themselves, which we'll talk a little bit about, but they're not readily available now because you are doing a study. It's a trial, like a clinical trial in which people can participate in. Tell me about the clinical trial and who you're partnered with.
So we've partnered with Niametic and with UC Irvine to conduct this trial where we are treating patients who suffer from chronic pain with our product, with Cannaceutica. And we have a dosage schedule, which is really one of the greatest challenges that when I speak to physicians about their reluctance to recommend cannabis, it's a lot of it is dosage. They don't know what to tell their patients. There's no take 2 and call me in the morning, because what are you telling them to take 2 of? 2 joints? Well, how big of a joint? And how big of a puff do I take? And how long do I hold it in? All those are kind of, just they're questions, and they're not standardized. So with Cannaceutica, we know what's in the product. We've created a product that we can replicate over and over. There's consistency, so that when soon, when you'll be able to purchase Cannaceutica at reputable dispensaries, licensed dispensaries across the country, you know that what you get in California at your dispensary in Northern California will be the same as what you get when you buy Cannaceutica in Michigan or in Florida or in New Jersey. And that is, in the world of the cannabis industry, incredibly innovative and state of the art, because it just hasn't existed like that before. So we've created a dosage. When you're dealing with these consistent products, you can create a dosage schedule. It starts at 2.5 milligrams. We also have 5 milligrams, and I believe we're going to have a 20 milligram tablet as well. But you use those 2.5 and you start with that, and then you increase it at a very regimented schedule, trying to get to what we call a maintenance dose, which is the dose where the greatest benefit is felt with the least number of side effects. And what we call what most people would consider being high, a side effect. So for folks who aren't comfortable with that, they need not feel that way. They can actually get the benefit of cannabis at a level that doesn't make you feel out of control or dizzy, and still really get a lot of the benefits of cannabis.
That is a great idea, because many people may not choose smoking, but they might choose an edible. And again, you're at the same situation where it's like, well, if it's 20 milligrams, how much should I bite off? And that kind of thing. So I think this is really smart, and it might be a much easier way for people to understand how to use this product to help with their pain. Now, I know this study is specific to pain, but would these capsules from Cannaceutica also assist with anxiety and some other things that cannabis is used for?
So it's very, very likely that they will. They're just not they're not currently being studied as part of our trial.
Okay.
When you're using cannabis to treat something like anxiety, dosage, again, is critical. And I would encourage anyone listening to this who's experimenting or considering experimenting with cannabis to start low dose and start slow. So that means, what we consider a microdose of cannabis is 2.5 milligrams of THC. THC is one of those chemicals that I said cannabis is full of. It's
Yeah.
the most famous one, and it's the one that's most known for its psychoactivity. So
Okay.
you want to keep that low and just increase slowly. So, when you take a capsule of Cannaceutica, you would start with that 2.5 milligram, and then it wouldn't be for another day or two before you would try increasing to a higher dosage.
I see. And then you touched on one of the ingredients in the capsules is the THC, but now there's also CBD in it too, which, some people go, oh no, you should do CBD only or THC, but now you've actually combined the two.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've discovered in our research and in years of experience now, providing cannabis in a lot of different forms to patients across the country, is that cannabis works best as a whole plant. When I said that fruit salad reference, it works. If you're just picking out the melon, or you're just picking out the grapes from your fruit salad, that's not the best way to consume cannabis. You really want the whole plant experience. So what we've learned is that CBD works great when there's a little bit of THC there too. And the same thing, THC works better when there's a little bit of CBD. So we've put together a proprietary formula of what we call full spectrum extract, which pulls all those great cannabinoids the plant has to offer, THC, CBD, CBC, CBG. These are, for most folks, this is an alphabet soup of letters I'm saying, but each one of these has different impacts, anti-inflammatory properties,
right?
Antibacterial properties. Just what we've done is take the guesswork out of cannabis, and we put these best of cannabinoids together in the right ratios that we have found to be most effective. And now we're going to prove it through an IRB approved study with the IC.
Love that. Love that.
Of California, Irvine.
Yeah. No, tell me about the study itself, the clinical trial, how people get involved.
All right. Well, hopefully you're going to soon put a number on your screen that's going to tell people exactly how they reach out to us and who they, or a website that they can go to.
Yep.
But you need to be at least 21. You need to have had pain for at least 3 months, which is defined as chronic pain.
Okay.
You have to have tried at least 2 traditional treatments, either over-the-counter products or prescription medicines, but still are experiencing pain or some sort of side effect that you don't want to experience. So basically you're not satisfied yet with whatever treatment you're using to manage your pain.
Right.
And we're also excluding, for the purpose of this trial, cancer-related pain or fibromyalgia related pain. Okay. And the reason we're doing that is because those are such, it's not because we don't believe cannabis is helpful. In fact, we know in many cases it is for both of those situations, but because the dosages are different than and often much higher than what we're looking for with treating chronic pain.
Okay, excellent. Well, I appreciate all of the information. Good luck to you. And I look forward to hearing more about how it all turns out.
If you want more information, go to our website and complete the survey. It's niametic-usa.com/CCTA-pain-study.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for the information, and we will talk to you again.
Looking forward to it.
All right. And remember, if you want more information about this, you can go to the website that is shown on your screen.